Hello, ni hao. Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger on July 2nd, 2025. Before we go into today's video, I want to quickly say that I had like no sleep last night. I got nailed by insomnia really bad, and then I've been up and dealing with all kind of crap ever since 7 o'clock this morning. I did clock in a 3 hour nap in the afternoon. I just totally crashed. But if I seem a little bit unfocused and meandering, if my thoughts seems a bit meandering and mushy in the head, this is why. Okay, just like not feeling very alert right now. It's been a long day, got a lot of good stuff done, but my energy level is near the bottom of the tank at this moment. But with that said, I do want to give you guys a public announcement for those of my action figure collecting pals. The Four Horsemen Studio have just announced their newest pre-order. Really cool figures. A big ogre-sized werewolf and some new characters and cool new side quest storyline. Um, you can see it on their website. The figures will be available to pre-order from July 2nd, which is today, and all the way into I think August 3rd is what they said. Um, the full pre-order price I think is like $375, $385 US. You get seven figures, I think, and one of them is a big polar bear, and one of them is a big ogre-sized werewolf. So is it expensive? Yes, but you are getting some really cool stuff in this assortment. So go check it out. I mean, if nothing else, I think your most people would be okay just grabbing that polar bear and just grabbing that werewolf. And the rest of the figure, I think you can like take it or leave it, honestly. Um, but yeah, some cool pre-order there. So check it out. If you collect action figures and fantasy figures and want really high quality stuff, uh, then go check out the Four Horsemen website. So today I want to talk about a couple of Chinese emperors that at the same time it's always the butt of a lot of people's joke because they were kind of jokes as emperors went. But at the same time, it always makes me kind of hurt a little bit for them. I always feel my heart always break a little bit for them uh, because I can relate to these two emperors. Uh, if you drawn out a list of Chinese emperor talent show, like an American Idol or uh, Chinese Emperor Got Talent. Okay, if you draw up a contest like who was the most talented Chinese emperors, then Song Huizong Emperor and Song Qinzong Emperor, who was his son. So this father and son duo from the Song Dynasty would totally be among the top five. Like these two guys were so influential in the art world, in the scholarly pursuit, in development of soccer in China, in development of music. They were talented. Like there has very rarely any other Chinese emperor that even came close to having the kind of talent that Song Huizong and Song Qinzong had. Uh, to put it in perspective, Song Huizong invented uh, uh, brush stroke style, an art style called the slender gold that is still admired and studied today. And his son Song Qinzong also invented a new style of calligraphy that is still used and studied today. So these two were definitely geniuses in their art, in their calligraphy, in their appreciation of beautiful things, and so on and so on. But at the same time, Song Huizong and Song Qinzong were also two of the most WTF emperors throughout Chinese history, and both of them were, like I said, pretty much the butt of everyone's jokes when it came to Chinese emperors. Why is that? Well, if you look at not just Chinese history, if you look at the world's history, every kingdom, what is the one thing that we see over and over and over again? Is that everyone want to be emperors. Okay, everyone want to, like, people murder their own father, people murder their own mother, people murder their own siblings, want to be emperors, but not Song Huizong or Song Qinzong. Okay, these two poor souls, these two super talented guys, never wanted to be emperors. They just wanted to be left alone and do their art and do their music and enjoy playing chess and playing soccer, study martial arts, study music. But both of them ended up becoming emperors and really, really sucked at their job because of that. Were they bad emperors? Yes. But was it really their fault? Not really. Okay. Song Huizong ruled China in the Northern Song Dynasty from 1100 AD to 1126 AD. So he was emperor for 26 years. While he was emperor, he single-handedly almost bankrupted the entire country and put in so many WTF systems and trusted all the wrong people to do to run his kingdom for him that he was very instrumental in the downfall of the Northern Song Dynasty. But we need to backtrack a little bit to look at what was he all about? Well, like I said, Song Huizong never wanted to be emperor. He never was even in the line of succession. He was never going to be emperor. So when he grew up, he knew I'm not going to be emperor. There's a lot of other princes uh, and other lord ahead of me. I have brothers, I have cousins. Every one of them smarter than I am. Every one of them more political than I am and that's okay. I just want to do my art. I just want to do my calligraphy. I just want to write my poetry. So growing up, knowing that he would never be emperor, Song Huizong threw himself fully into the pursuit of happiness. He did everything that he loved: poetry, uh, uh, writing essays, writing uh, uh, stories, and painting, and playing soccer, and enjoying music, collecting famous paintings and artworks. Like he was a happy, happy guy until one day, out of nowhere, a bunch of ministers came to him and said, "Congratulations, Your Majesty, you are the new emperor." And he was like, "What the hell? I don't want to be emperor. I'm not ready for this. I don't want to do this." But it was basically come down to you either say yes or you are we put you down as treason and then you will be killed and then we'll put your brother in as the emperor and then you'll be killed as a committing treason. It was like being blackmailed into being becoming the emperor. So here he was, entire life, thinking he would never be emperor, never prepared to be emperor, and suddenly he was the emperor. Why was that? What happened there? Well, it was a very strange series of events. A lot of political backstabbing. Brother A wanted to kill brother B, and brother C wanted to backstab brother D, and then some of the generals would side with this brother, some of the general would side with other brothers, and finally everyone sat down and said, hey, look, we need a new emperor. Okay, we need to cut this out, and let's just pick someone who is easy to control. Let's just pick someone who's easy to manipulate. Oh yeah, that Song Huizong, he just like his poetry. He just like his artwork. He's easy to manipulate. Let's put him up as the emperor, and then we can go back and do our like taking bribes and evading taxes. We can go back to doing our stuff. So he got chosen to be emperor because not because he was going to be good, but because they believed that he wasn't going to be very good. And sad to say, they were right. Song Weizong did not want to be emperor, didn't know how to be emperor, had no interest in being a good emperor. So, while he was emperor, he changed a lot of stuff to suit the artist in him. For example, some of the worst, most corrupt politicians during the Song Dynasty were elected during the rule of Song Huizong from 1100 to 1126. I'll give you guys a couple of really WTF example. Okay, number one is the eunuch Tong Guan. Tong Guan was just a eunuch, a servant of the emperors. Now, in case you didn't know this, most eunuchs up to this point throughout Chinese history were not allowed to hold stations. Like eunuchs could be very influential, but they were not allowed to hold a rank in the military. They were not allowed to be a lord or anything like that because eunuchs were viewed as not complete. They were half people. They were not they're damaged people. Uh, so they were never allowed to hold prestige in the kingdom. But while Song Huizong was emperor, like I said, he was a big collector of beautiful things and artwork and stuff like that. So guess what he's going to do now that he's emperor? Ooh, look, now I'm an emperor. The whole country, the entire China belongs to me. Why don't I send my favorite eunuch, Tong Guan, out and get him to fetch all the beautiful artwork for me from all over China? Uh, so that's what he did. Song Huizong sent Tong Guan out to travel around China. And he said, okay, if you bring me back beautiful artworks that make me really happy, then I'm going to make you a military general. Like when we think about like how crazy that is, this is a eunuch, a servant whose only experience is serving the emperor in like making the emperor's bed, fetching the emperor's clothes, uh, getting emperor the favorite food. Like you are going to make him your military general because he brought you back beautiful artwork? But Song Huizong didn't think that way. Song Huizong believed, well, he gave me my favorite artwork, so he deserved to uh, get what he want. So he told me that his whole life he wanted to be a military man. I'm going to make his wish come true. I'm going to make him a military general. So while Tong Guan was out collecting artwork, he ran into another one of the worst ever politician in Chinese history. His name is Cai Jin. Now, Cai Jin at this point was only magistrate in a remote town. No one ever heard of Taijin. He wasn't very good at his job. He sucked as a politician, so he was never promoted. But when Taijin heard that Tong Guan was collecting artwork for the emperor, Taijin donated some of his personal collection and say, "Hey, I would really like to become a prime minister for the emperor. Can you arrange that?" And Tong Guan say, "Hey, yeah, no problem. The emperor promised me if I bring back some good artwork, he's going to make me the military general. So I will recommend for him to make you the prime minister." So when Tong Guan returned to the capital city, I said, "Your Majesty, some of these beautiful artwork were donated by one of your loyal subjects, Taijin." And the emperor said, "Oh, that's so cool! I love these pieces. How should I reward this Taijin?" "Oh, well, Your Majesty, Taijin said he wanted to be the prime minister." "Okay, sure, why not? Let's make Taijin our new prime minister." So you got this super corrupt politician who didn't really do his job anyway, becoming the prime minister, uh, while this eunuch, whose only experience was making bed and fetching food and stuff like that, becoming the military general because they brought the emperor beautiful artwork. Another famous corrupt politician throughout Chinese history called Gao Qiu. Okay, we've mentioned Gao Qiu before. Gao Qiu was also picked by Song Huizong as his minister of national security. Gao Qiu didn't even have an education. Gao Qiu spent most of his early life as a street punk, a hoodlum. Why was he in the Emperor's Good Book? Because Gao Qiu was a fantastic soccer player. And as I mentioned, Song Huizong was a great enthusiast in soccer as well. If you look back there's an episode that I said soccer was invented in China. We talked about some of this in that episode. But basically, one day, Song Huizong and his fellows were playing soccer, and at that time, Gao Qiu was just a messenger. So Gao Qiu came to deliver a message to Song Huizong, and the ball bounced toward him, and Gao Qiu executed a beautiful kick. And Song Huizong saw that, and he said, "Oh wow, this guy is fantastic. You, well, I want you to work for me. What would you like to be?" And the gaucho said, "Well, I always like to lead soldiers and lead I would like to control warriors." And then Song Weizong said, "Okay, well, why don't you be our minister of defense? So all the military generals and the entire military have to report to you." At that time, so many of Song Huizong's ministers banded together and came to talk to the emperor and said, "Your Majesty, you cannot make Gao Qiu a minister of defense." And Song Huizong said, "Why not?" And this is true history. I'm not even making this up, even though it sounds so WTF. So Song Huizong said, "Why not? Why can't I?" His minister said, "Well, look, he the only thing he knows how to do really good is play soccer." And Song Huizong said, "What's wrong with that? I play soccer too, and I'm your freaking emperor. Why can't he be the minister of defense? Just he plays soccer, I play soccer. What's the problem?" And the minister said, "Yeah, but your Majesty, he doesn't know anything about being a minister of defense." And the emperor said, "Well, I did not know anything about being an emperor, and look at how great I am now." Well, the ministers wisely decided to shut up at that point and went home and just say, "You know what? Fuck this. You do whatever you do." Because to say anything further would imply that he wasn't a good emperor, and you might get your head chopped off when if you say that. Okay, uh, so here we have a eunuch, Tongguan, becoming a military general. We have a corrupt politician, Cai Jin, becoming the prime minister. And then we have the street punk hoodlum, Gao Qiu, becoming the minister of defense. One of the biggest sweeping change Gao Qiu made, well, as soon as he became the Minister of Defense, was he changed the whole enlistment requirement for people to join military. Prior to Gao Qiu becoming the Minister of Defense, if you wanted to join the Imperial Army, you have to be tested. Okay, can you? How many arrows can you shoot a minute? How good are you at fighting on horseback? How good are you as a sword? How far can you run before you have to take a break? How much weight can you lift? So there's a lot of very stringent requirements. Gao Zhou said, no, 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 that's nonsense. And he ditched the whole system and he basically reinvented the enlisting requirement to say that to be allowed into the imperial army, you have to have a trade. So you have, if you are a carpenter, welcome. If you are a leather worker, welcome. If you are a miner, welcome. If you're a watchmaker, welcome. So if you have a trade, if you have a skill, then you are welcome into the imperial army. And rather than having the soldiers train for warfare, Gao Qiu sends them out to do business. So you say you are a carpenter, okay? Well, here's your job. While you are in the imperial army, you're going to go out and build houses and sell houses. You're going to build tables and sell tables. And then every month, 50% of your income will come to the Ministry of Defense. You get to keep 50%, and a Gaucho get to keep 50%. So while Gaucho was the Minister of Defense, he was sending the soldiers out to to sell things, to work, rather than having them train for warfare, which led to why Song Dynasty got its ass kicked so bad, eventually by the Jin Dynasty to the north and the Liao Dynasty to the north, because the entire military system was all screwed up because of Gao Qiu and because of Tong Guan, who was a eunuch turned uh, military general who didn't know anything about fighting. Song Huizong also reinvented the entire imperial exam. We talked about the imperial exam many, many times, right? So most of the times throughout history, imperial exam means that you have to study, you have to learn tactics, you have to learn philosophy, you have to answer a lot of questions. Song Huizong decided, no, 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 that's too much work. Okay, tell you guys what, every year I'm going to write a poetry or I'm going to publish a poem that I wrote. And then the person who can illustrate a painting or an artwork illustrating my poem the best, the person who can who can make me happy will get selected to be uh, the, the the next imperial exam winner. So he basically turned the whole thing into an art show, a talent show, uh, rather than actually testing people on if they knew how to run the government or not. So, in 26 years, our dear poet, artist, musician, soccer player, Emperor Song Huizong basically turned the Song Dynasty from a very powerful dynasty with very powerful military into a, uh country that was near bankrupt. Its military force was depleted. People were all about art and poetry. No one was about growing food. No one was about uh, uh, fighting of the invaders. And at the end, when the northern Jin dynasty and Liao dynasty, two very powerful northern enemies, came storming in to really kick the butt of the Song dynasty. What did he do? Our uh, poet, artist, Emperor Song Huizong said, "Oh, wow, we are in trouble, huh? Oh, well, the hell with this. I don't want to do this anymore. This is not fun anymore. I quit." So so he faked a stroke and advocated the throne to his oldest son, Song Qinzong. Again, all this is like true history. I wish I made this up, but I didn't. Song Qinzong did not want to be the emperor. I mean, you can imagine he grew up with a dad who's all into having fun and art and poetry and playing soccer. So that's what Song Qinzong was into as well. He never wanted to be an emperor. He just wanted to do what his dad did, have fun, do poetry, do art. And now suddenly the invaders were at the gate, and dear daddy is like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I am getting too old. Oh, look, I have a stroke. Oh my God, I can't move my right arm. Son, go sit on that throne. Sorry, it's yours now. You got to deal with it. Song Qinzong did, did not want to be an emperor. He said, "No, I am not going to sit on your throne." And Song Huizong said, "If you don't take the throne, then you are a bad son." And Song Qinzong said, "If I take the throne while knowing that I'll be a lousy emperor, I will be a bad son. Okay? I don't want to take the throne. I don't know how to do this." And Song Huizong even went as far as say, "If you don't go sit on that throne right now, I'm going to call your mom and get her to come talk to you." And Song Qinzong said, "I don't care. Call my mom if you want. I don't want to be the emperor." And Song Huizong finally was forced to order all the royal guard, grab the prince, put him on the throne, and put the crown on his head. So our poor Song Qinzong was dragged, kicking and screaming and crying, forcibly set in the throne and get the crown put on his head. And everybody knelt down and said, "Congratulations, Your Majesty, you are the new emperor." And Song Qinzong was so scared, and he's like, "I don't want to be the emperor. Please, I don't want to do this." Well, too late. The crown is on your head. You are the new emperor. So how should we do this? How the invaders at the door? Our poor Song Qinzong was only emperor for 1 year, 1126 to 1127, before the invaders uh, conquered the capital city, and both Song Qinzong and his father Song Huizong were captured by the invader, taken to northern China, and spent the rest of their life as captives of the Jin dynasty. Thus was the end of our two very talented but also very WTF and tragic Chinese emperor, the two emperors who never wanted to be emperors, really wasn't good at being emperors, and unfortunately was put in that position because of things outside their control. Sometimes true history is really boring, but sometimes true history is ironic, hilarious, and kind of sad at the same time. Why do I feel so much for Song Huizong and Song Qinzong? Because both of them were artists, both of them were poets, both of them were athletes and musicians. Both of them were very similar to how I see myself. And having been put in situations not of my own making, put in a foreign country, being blind and half deaf and have to survive on my own. I very much relate to the kind of situation, the kind of desperation and despair those two would have felt. I just want to be left alone to do my art, to do my music. Why do I have to do this? Well, sadly, a lot of time we are forced to do things that we never wanted to in our life.